call to order the regular meeting of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners for Thursday, July 16th, 2015. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Langdon Neal, and I'm chairman of the board. Seated to my left is Commissioner Marisol Hernandez. First item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda itself. Any additions, deletions? Hearing none, we will move to approval of the minutes first for the regular board meeting of June 9, 2015. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. I'll second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That'll be the order. Next, we'll approve the minutes for June 23rd, 2015. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Executive Director's report. Mr. Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Want to run a couple of items by the board members that we discussed at our board meeting the other day. In fact, I know you have, Karen did email the minutes of those meetings to both of you, and I want to thank Karen.
Your manager's meeting.
Manager's meeting.
Yes.
She did a great job.
Yes, you did.
One is I've been meeting with the building, the real estate office here. They want to start talking about negotiating a new lease for our office space. Even though it's not up yet, they want to get it in the queue, they said. So I spoke to Anna Ashcroft. We spoke about needing additional space because we're looking at purchasing an Agilis machine that we use for running our absentee ballots through. She's going to send a couple of people down next week so we can do a walkthrough. She'll be gone for 2 weeks. When she comes back, she wants to sit down and actually go over what we may need to do.
Okay.
I spoke to the city about it. The city told us that you guys negotiate. Once you finish negotiating, bring the stuff to us then. They don't want to be involved right now. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. They have to pay for it no matter what.
Right.
So.
Well, it'd be nice if we could also kind of freshen up the office as part of the lease, and I know painting, some
carpet,
yeah, some basic maintenance.
Laurel's already went and reviewed with the painter, but the price was just $10,000 for the stuff that we wanted painted. Carpeting another 10. It was just ridiculous. So.
It was totally out of our ballpark.
Yeah.
And for the amount of work that we're asking them to repair, replace,
Yeah.
it's not within reason.
So I just wanted the board members to be aware of that. Once we get to that point, is it all right if Mr. Scanlon and I do the negotiation of the lease? We're going to bring it to the board, but I'd like to start that as soon as possible.
It's fine with me.
Absolutely.
Thank you. A couple of other items that were brought up at the manager's meeting was because of Senate Bill 172 that we have to have a permanent registration site here in the building. After talking, I spoke to Charles Holliday. He said if he could have that room where we did our petition filing on the lower level, he said if he could have that whole room, he has staff that can go in there and take care of registration. We could put about 30 to 40 machines up. He says the last time that we did this for November is because you couldn't do it in the precinct. Now we can do it in the precinct. He thinks he can handle it. So we're going to give it a shot for the for the primary election, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, here's the other one. I would like to discuss with the board members. I'd like to send out an application for absentee ballot to every registered voters. If we could combine this with the early voting, not with our canvas mailing, I think it would be great. We can do it as a canvassing mailing before the November election. I'm just worried about the primary, how we can handle that, but I think I have enough money to do both mailings. It would just make it so much simpler for this agency. We can populate all the information, we can scan it in, even though, and we'll probably get 200,000 for November, but if we can do it that way, I think it's something we can handle.
So you have enough from salvage from 2014,
No, believe it.
15?
I have some salvage for mail, but I have it in both city and both county budgets, so
Okay.
we have enough money to do
All right. Well, then we can carry that over because that'll be next year's expenditures, right?
Good.
But I have it both in the city and county side for next year, so I have enough money.
I just know that sometimes salvage disappears.
Oh, yeah.
Hocus pocus,
Yeah.
it was there, now it's gone.
But we have
Yeah.
it both for both the primary and
Yeah.
general, I mean, both for the city and the county side.
Okay, great.
So we're okay.
There is a way to incur those expenses this year.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I think if I could get permission of the board members so we can study this, I think it's something that this agency really needs to do.
Sure, I have no objection to that.
Okay, I don't either, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. I did talk about the Agilis and the 400C being located at the warehouse. If you read the minutes, the staff put up a great battle. But if we do not have the Agilis out at the warehouse, we'd like to move the Agilis and the mail room where the Xerox machines are located and move the Xerox machines downstairs on the 6th floor where the mail room is. We're
I
getting
heard about the spirited debate, I didn't hear where Ms. Bacon came out on this one. The middle ground, I didn't want to pick a side.
I support the staff with their reasons for not wanting to move the operation to the warehouse. But, like Mr. Goff said, it's gonna come a time when we don't have the space here. We are too big for ourselves. We don't have the space, so we're gonna have to put it somewhere. And the Agilis is a very large machine.
Well, but I guess the
So-
question is if we have it here for the March election, and we realize that the warehouse is still better suited,
We have enough time to move it out
We
there.
could move it,
Yes,
yeah.
we do.
we
Yeah.
could just try it.
So that's what I'm looking,
Yeah.
my general counsel likes the idea of having it out at the warehouse.
Yeah.
There are a lot of processes, there are a lot of things
If
we
I
have
have
to
to go
move
down,
to the
Jim.
warehouse.
I'm going with you, right?
There's, it's, I understand both sides, I
Right.
really do, and it's a lot of processes would have to be moved to the warehouse. And staff who have, jobs here,
Yes.
then go to the warehouse, then have to come back here, and,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
like
little
Dawn
difficult.
always says, if she could clone her staff and have a
Right.
whole second staff at the warehouse to do that, but then still have staff to do the jobs here, and
That's not gonna
it
happen.
comes
Well,
difficult.
So
Um,
something that's still on the table, I want the board members.
So to
Yeah.
put one more, yes, so to put one more question to you. Could this relate to your discussions of additional space?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's why I'm trying to get all this stuff put together now for my meeting with Ms. Ann Ashcroft. Because that's when I need to sit down with her.
I was thinking that, that space down there in the basement, we talked about that.
We've already allocated it for the primary and general election of next year.
Okay.
We've already made arrangements to lease that space.
You mean where we do our early voting?
Well, early voting is ours,
That's
but where
ours.
we do the petition.
Petition check, yeah.
That's part of the building, but we've already had that leased for both the primary and general election of next year.
And we'll be using that for.
Other
just
projects.
Other projects.
Other projects
registration.
and for election day registration.
Right.
Yeah.
So it can't work on both.
No,
needs.
no.
Okay. All right. Okay, you guys have figured it out.
Okay, the other item is that as Senate Bill 172 says we have to have college voting locations at the UIC, Chicago State, and Northeastern. I'd like to get permission from the board members if we could hire students out of those colleges to work early vote. It's only, isn't it 3 days? 3 days. So I think that shouldn't be an issue, but I would like to do it. Everybody asked me, hey, can we have some of our students make a little extra money?
Commissioner Hernandez?
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it.
I agree.
Okay. I have one more item, but I'll save it for the next manager's board meeting.
Okay. Yeah, quit while you're ahead. Huh?
I'm telling you, I'm batting 100, so.
Okay. All right, Ms. Bacon.
Laura Grimm, Audra Lewicki, and Jim Allen and I went to Bloomington last Tuesday for their special primary. 11% turnout,
Roughly.
roughly. So we went the day before. I was scheduled. They had 33 precincts are involved in the 18th Congressional District in the city of Bloomington. They had 18 polling places. So they didn't have, so they have the judges of election and then they had registration officials who handled just the taking of the registrations. So I was assigned for 6 o'clock in the morning to be a registration official because they didn't have enough bodies. They weren't able to recruit enough registration officials for each polling place. And they split their shifts too, which was interesting. So 6 o'clock in the morning, we were at a polling place, taking registrations. Unfortunately, no one came in to register. The time frame we were there.
What type of equipment were they using? Paper?
Mhm.
Yeah. okay.
For registration.
For registration.
They have a poll book for voting, but they
Okay.
weren't using it for registration.
Okay.
They will, I assume, in the future, but they didn't use it for registration.
Okay.
So I had to manually look up to make sure the person's address was in the precinct,
Mhm.
in the district, and then pen to paper application.
Okay.
It's one form. It's an application for ballot as well as a registration card.
Okay.
Worked out. It worked. We had a few people came in to vote early in the morning who weren't part of the congressional district, but
Mhm.
that's their polling place, and they just heard that there was voting going on, so they went. So unfortunately, they couldn't vote.
You had people who
Yeah.
weren't eligible
I
to vote
know.
to show up.
Show
Only
up,
had
but the ones
11.
who are don't come.
Gotcha.
I know. So then we traveled around to different polling places. Their judges were, all knowledgeable, and they did have, Audra loved the idea that they had this yellow form on the table, and they asked people as they came in if they wanted to serve as a judge of election for the next election. And, talking to a few of the judges, a lot of them, that's how they were recruited and assigned.
Yeah.
So it's a thought we might do.
Yes,
Um,
yes, that's a great
My
idea.
last polling place I was assigned to, and I was a registration official, I took 2 registrations, so we were extremely happy. 2 18-year-old boy and girl came in with their parents, and we made this big deal. If we would have had balloons, they would have had balloons, but we were, clapping and everything, and so they were a little embarrassed, but that's okay. They're
Mhm.
18, they can handle it.
Mhm.
So registered them to vote. It was streamlined, everything went well. They voted. It wasn't a long ballot, so it didn't take too long. And that was it. So it was a good experience to go down, see how they're doing it, see the forms, their signage, everything, so it was
Great.
good. Otherwise, managers meeting on Tuesday, just kind of getting a feel of what everyone's doing in their departments. Keith Carter was here from the warehouse. They are just moving along, cleaning up from the last 2 elections. Registration, as always, as I always say, is a year-round event.
Yes.
They're always taking voter registrations. The POVA, the paperless online voter registration application, was closed for the entire state of Illinois because of the 18th Congressional District. So it opened again last Wednesday or Thursday, so we got some registrations from there. It'll close again when the election comes on September 10th, so it'll close again 28 days before that. But everyone's moving along. IT's doing a great job as always. So everything's
How does
good.
it paperless, so when someone registers
Mhm.
on that system, do we audit, if they're a Chicago voter, does it automatically
Come
go
to us?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yes, so it automatically filters to the proper jurisdiction where they belong, where the registrations belong. But
Can
they
you
were-
access that site on our website?
Yes,
Okay, so we have a link?
yes.
And it links to the Secretary of State's office, so you have to have either a state ID or a state driver's license in
Okay.
order to use the paperless online system. If not, then you just download a form, sign it, and send it in.
Okay.
But that's how they grab the signatures from your Secretary of State's file.
I got you.
Okay.
So,
Huh. Okay, that's great. All right, Mr. Allen?
Commissioners, good afternoon. We're working on a new contract for web hosting, and this is the servers in the cloud that are only used for the website, not the servers in the cloud that Mr. Goff will be discussing later this meeting. We're hopeful that we might be able to bring down the cost and still build into it this contract the peak period increases in cores that the cloud service provides right around election time when we get much more traffic. Meanwhile, the content management side of the website, we're still working on a mobile platform that I know Commissioner Hernandez wants us to complete as soon as possible, as well as the election results component, which will streamline providing election results and download spreadsheet so that the board doesn't have to get involved in that. It'll just be a service that'll be out there. As Mr. Goff referenced, we're looking at different options for the next canvas mailing. He keeps me hopping. Thank you, Lance.
My job.
So we're not sure whether we can do our traditional 8.5 by
Yeah.
11 folded tab, or if we might have to go to an envelope with inserts so that we have an election notice and a canvas card and then the absentee app all inserted into one type of package. So there's a couple different options that we have.
Keep it simple.
Gonna try.
I mean, I know the cost of 2 mailings, but,
As Kelly referenced, the trip to Bloomington was very educational in terms of how they set up their polling places, how they recruited the judges from all the voters. They approached every single voter about serving at the next election.
Great idea.
Their electronic poll book had a feature that we're looking forward to having, where they were able to send from the central office messages to the individual precinct or to all the precincts at once, saying, "Hey, be on the lookout for this," or "How is this going?" So that was a nice feature.
whose equipment, was that developed in-house or?
No, it was a provider, so that's, perhaps they'll do same-day, election day registration in the future on that, but I don't think it's quite prepared for that yet.
Okay.
But it was Votech that supplied it,
Oh.
so they were only using it for registered voters and to check them in and to get them to the right precinct if they were in the wrong place.
Okay.
Got a lot of work on correspondence and website content, contracts for the next set of polling places, outreach, as Lance referenced, to the universities, and then developing some marketing plans for election day registration. And last but not least, we've got another contingent. We had a contingent of young future leaders from various African countries in here, was it about a month ago? And now tomorrow, we have a group of, not the same students, but future young leaders from countries like Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, will be in here, and Armenia, who were here last year, and so they want to come back and talk elections with us. And they always pose some interesting questions.
Good.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Allen?
No.
All right, we'll move under old business.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry if I
Yes.
could add
Yep.
something real fast, because Jim Allen has to chime in. We discussed at the managers' meeting of having some type of video on our website showing what they'll see for this upcoming elections about same-day registration.
Mhm.
So we're gonna try to put something up on the web so they can look and see.
That's great. That's great. Do it in-house?
Yes,
Okay.
just like we did the one for the e-poll book.
Right.
Okay.
Remember that.
I suggest we use Commissioner Hernandez this time. I think we'll maybe get a, better viewer.
No, I don't know.
A lot more audience will.
Yes, yes.
I agree with you.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
It'll double, triple.
Now you're putting the pressure on.
No, this is a piece of cake. Okay, item A, infrastructure projects and changes. Well, we just talked about that, right? You
Yes.
mentioned those. Anything else?
Yes, and just to let you know, we both got quotes for upgrade on our equipment from Dominion Voting. Waldeb's in, and we discussed about the tablet was just too small. We told him it needed to be on a larger platform for us to even talk about it. He's gonna work on that with Eric and about procedures of how we would do that, so they're gonna be working on that, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
That would be, I don't know how many pages for some of our long
About
election.
30 pages.
Yeah, that would, we'd have some angry customers, I think.
Well, if you remember the November election, the president turned to Jim Allen and said, "Hey, buddy, you're killing me here," you know.
Yeah, he
so
did,
that
that's
this-
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
Also, related to this, we'll be getting back to you hopefully soon with an update on what kind of upgrade we may be doing with the electronic poll books for the March election.
Okay.
So
Great.
that's still in the works. We had a very productive meeting recently where we went over some different options with the vendor, but it was all moving toward some sort of upgrade.
Okay. and accordingly contract modifications.
Yes.
All righty. That covers A and B and C, correct? D, any legislation? I think they're working on any election legislation right now.
No, they're in Springfield, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no election bills that I'm aware of.
Okay. Let's move to new business. We have 3 professional service contracts to approve. I'm very pleased to report them out that are, 2 of them will ensure that we'll have the excellent work of Mr. Allen and Ms. Agnew for another year.
Right.
Their service has been exemplary, and they're really invaluable to us in what we do. So, thank you, Mr. Allen. And Joan isn't here, but we'll take hers first. So, a contract to utilize the services of Ms. Agnew as an attorney, as well as a Freedom of Information Act officer and ethics advisor, and for 1 year at the rate of $210 per hour. The term of the agreement is for, just can't find it.
Last page.
Thank you. Thank you. From June 1st, 2015 to May 31st, 2016. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Member Hernandez. I'll second. Further discussion, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and that'll be approved. Then we will move to the contract for JPA Consulting Group for the sum of, for the term of same term, 1 year. Okay.
Right, 1 year, beginning July 1,
Now, there it is,
2015.
July 1, 15 to June 30th, 2016. Thank
Correct.
you. At $12,500 per month, as well as reimbursement for actual reasonable travel and incidental expenses incurred in the performance of contractor services in accordance with the policies and regulations of the board. Is there a motion?
So, motion to approve?
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. I'll second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
That'll be the order. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
And we have a Microsoft licensing contract, is that right? Is it a licensing contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. This is to use Microsoft's cloud-based system that we need for our judges' application and for our e-poll books. And we looked at the 2 most secure platforms for the cloud is Microsoft and Amazon.gov. And we had Al Chase review both items, and he and the staff downstairs would like to use Microsoft, and I agree with them.
Okay. And generally, what are the salient terms and conditions?
$28,000 a month for 3 months.
Okay.
3 years.
3 years, I'm sorry.
For 3 years.
3 years.
28,000.
28,000 a year for 3 years.
3 years.
Pardon.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. Hernandez, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move to the legal status report. Mr. Scanlon.
Nothing to report, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. Quiet.
That's good news. We do not have a financial report. So at this time, I will open up the floor for public comment. We do not have any. So at this time, I would accept a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel and pending or probable litigation.
Correct.
And approval of executive session minutes?
Correct.
And review of executive session minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, I'll second. Further discussion, hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
We will recess to executive session. Good. So we have one motion. Commissioner Hernandez?
I think we have two motions. I move that the need for confidentiality still exists as to the written minutes of the closed executive session held on June 9th, 2015.
Okay. I'll second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That'll be the order.
Okay. And then my second motion is, I move that the board, under Section 2.06E of the Open Meetings Act, approve destruction of the verbatim record of closed executive session meeting minutes, in which the board has made the decision to release them for public inspection, held not less than 18 months ago, which would effectively be anything prior to January 1st, 2014.
I'll second. Further discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
That'll be the order. Unless there's something else to come before the board, I'll make a motion to recess until our next regularly scheduled meeting for July 28th. Okay, July 28th.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.